At a glittering gala, a billionaire's offhand challenge was meant to amuse her wealthy guests, until a young janitor stepped forward and played like his life depended on it. The string lights over the Crystal Bay Hotel ballroom glimmered against polished marble floors, casting a golden reflection that made the evening feel grander than it already was. Guests in sleek gowns and tailored suits moved between tables covered in crisp white linens, their hum of polite conversation mixing with the faint clinking of champagne glasses. Near the far wall, a slightly scuffed baby grand piano sat quietly, almost out of place among the opulence. Eleanor Vance, 41, stood at the center of a cluster of donors and reporters wearing a fitted emerald dress that demanded attention. Known for her dramatic flair and habit of turning small moments into headlines, she was in her element. She tapped her manicured fingers on the piano lid as she looked at the crowd around her. "If anyone here can play this piano flawlessly, I'll marry them tomorrow." It wasn't the kind of comment people took seriously, especially not at a black-tie fundraiser. Laughter erupted, light, comfortable, almost indulgent. On the edge of the room, Ethan Cole, a 27-year-old janitor, paused mid-step. He set his pitcher down and walked toward the piano. "Do you mean that?" he asked, his voice cutting through the laughter. Eleanor, surprised by who was asking, replied with a smirk, "Why? Are you planning to audition?" A ripple of amusement passed through the group. Ethan didn't smile back. "If you're serious," he said evenly, "then let's see how serious you really are." The mood shifted. Eleanor, enjoying the sudden attention, gestured toward the bench. "By all means. Show us what you've got." Ethan set his work caddy aside and eased himself onto the bench. His navy uniform looked out of place against the polished black wood. He took a breath, placed his fingers on the keys, and paused. The first notes he played were slow and deliberate. Within seconds, the melody began to shift, his fingers moving faster with an ease that didn't match his job title. Conversation stopped. The laughter faded completely. What started as a joke was becoming something else entirely. Whispers began again, but they were no longer mocking. "He probably only knows one song," a woman whispered. Another man muttered, "What's the bet he plays something like Chopsticks?" But Ethan's playing was rich, warm, and complex. Eleanor tried to maintain her smirk. "Not bad," she said casually, "but let's see if you can keep that up for more than a minute." In response, Ethan's playing became more intricate, weaving patterns that seemed effortless. Even the hotel staff, a chef, waiters, stopped to watch. The murmurs became less certain. "Where did he learn that?" someone asked. Ethan finally spoke, his voice even. "Not here." His hands moved faster, cascading through runs that seemed to challenge the piano itself. The murmurs faded completely. The smirks were gone. The room grew silent as he played a piece that was part classical, part his own. It was storytelling. The contrast was electric, with light, fast notes against deep, rolling bass lines. Eleanor felt her breath catch. From the crowd, someone whispered, "That's Rachmaninoff." Another replied, "No, listen closely. He's mixing it with something else. That's his own." The music built to a staggering final sequence. When the last note came, it didn't just stop, it lingered in the air. The room erupted in cheers, whistles, and a standing ovation. Some guests stood without thinking. Eleanor stepped forward, her voice softer now. "That wasn't what I expected." Ethan finally looked at her, his expression calm. "Most things worth remembering aren't," he replied. The conversation didn't fade, it simply shifted. A woman asked where he learned. "At home. Old upright my mom bought for $50 from a church down the street." The hotel manager asked why he hid this. "I wasn't hiding anything." "No one ever asked," Ethan said, his voice steady. Eleanor, trying to regain control, told him, "You'll be leaving everyone here wondering." As Ethan walked away, a young waiter caught up to him. "That was insane." Ethan adjusted his cleaning caddy. "Maybe it is," he said, disappearing into the hallway. By morning, the video of the performance had gone viral, with millions of views. #piano janitor and #Ethan Cole were trending. A screenshot of Eleanor's stunned face was captioned, "When you challenged the wrong guy." Ethan felt overwhelmed. Music had always been personal. Their hotel's general manager fielded media requests, and Eleanor's publicist insisted she do a photo op with Ethan, but Eleanor resisted. "He's not a prop. If he wants to meet, fine. If not, I'm not forcing it." 2 days later, Ethan and Eleanor met at a coffee shop. Eleanor apologized for making a joke out of him. "I owe you an apology. That night, I turned you into a joke, and you turned the whole thing into something I couldn't have predicted." Ethan explained he learned on an old piano and couldn't afford lessons. Eleanor offered him a stage. "I'm not offering to save you. I'm asking if you want a stage, the kind you deserve." Ethan was still unsure, not wanting to be a viral charity case. But the decision was made for him when a woman with a toddler found him at their hotel. Her son, who rarely spoke, had listened intently to his music. "My husband passed last year. That music, it was the first time in months my home felt peaceful." After she left, Ethan realized his music wasn't just for him. He called Eleanor. "If the offer is still on the table, I'll take the stage." 2 weeks later, he stood backstage at the Uptown Theater, ready to perform at Eleanor's Foundation's benefit concert. When his name was announced, he sat at the Steinway and played. Between pieces, he spoke to the audience. "Most people will only ever know you from what they can see in a few seconds. That's not the whole story. It never is. We all carry something bigger inside us." He received a standing ovation. Afterward, people didn't just compliment him, they shared their own stories of forgotten dreams. He realized his music was a bridge. Outside, Eleanor told him he could make a career out of this. "Maybe," he said. "But even if I don't, I've learned something." "What's that?" she asked. "That what you carry matters. Even if no one sees it right away, even if they laugh first." He knew his music wasn't staying hidden anymore.